Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in the previous video we have set up the Spring Boot project. We have set up our database, Docker Compose with environment variables, and we have wrote our entities. So from here we will start implementing the interfaces that we have defined yet. Okay. So before moving on, please subscribe to the channel. If you are new here, we are having this new series, Spring Boot React Project 2025. So this is an exciting series which will help you give the confidence in building the full stack project using Spring Boot as a backend and React as a frontend. So do subscribe to the channel for more such content and like the video if you are enjoying the content. So let's move on to the implementation of our interface. So we will start with the file service interface. So let's write a class for implementation of the interface. We'll say file service implementation. Okay, and this class will implement file service, and then we will implement the interfaces. Okay, and also we will annotate it with the service annotation. Now in the uploading of the file, what we will get is we will get a path where we want to upload the file and the file itself. Now where do we need to store the file? So we can store the file in the cloud storage if you are connected to the cloud, or we can store on our we can store the file on our server. Okay, so here we will store the file on our server, but in case we are dealing with the cloud like AWS or any other storage services, so in that case we can use their APIs to store the file, okay, to upload the file or to get the file, right? So here what we will do is we want that on this path the file should be stored. Okay, so on this path we will have a folder which will have our uploaded files there. Why? Because when we deploy the code, this whole thing get deployed, right? So in that sense we are uploading the file on a server, right? It is our local server, but when we do it in the production, it is a bit differently we do. So we will learn about that also later, but for now on our local server we need to define some kind of folder on our file, right? Now there are two ways we can do this. The first is we can directly right click on here and we can create a folder, and second is we can manually do the configuration. Okay, we can configure everything so that when we run our application those things are taken care of. So what we will do is we will go to the application.yml file, and here we will decide the name of our folder. Okay, so we will say project.images. Okay, and the folder name will be images slash. Okay, so this is how we define that in which folder we want to store our file. This is the path name we are defining. Okay, now we will use this path in our service layer of the book service implementation when we will be uploading the file. Okay, when we will be writing the use case, okay, for that. So that much work is done. Now what we need to do is we have the path which we will get from the book service implementation. Okay, then we will be doing that, and we will get the file. So we have to take care of the uploading part here, right? So the first thing we need for uploading the file is the file name. Okay, so we will say string file name equal to, now to get the file name we have a method that is get original file name. Okay, so this method gives us the actual name of the file. Next is we need the actual path of the file. So this path only is the path which is defined on the server, but the actual path to the file is what we require. So we will say file path is equal to path plus file dot separator plus file name. So this is the actual path on which our file will be, right? So this is how we have got the file name. This is we have got the actual file path where our file will be, and then we will create the folder if it does not exist. So which folder? The folder will be this one, images folder. Okay, where we have to put our files. So how we do it? We say file from file.io, file f equal to new file, and we will pass the path. Okay, so this will construct a new file in this path. Okay, a new file object first will pass, and then we check that if this file exists. Okay, if this path exists or not. If it does not exist, then on this path create the folder f.mkdir. mkdir, you know, make directory. So it will create a new directory which is the same as images. So images currently is not there. So when we will be uploading the file for the first time, and when it will check for it, so it will see that the file does not exist, so it will create the images directory for us, right? Once this directory is created and we have defined the path to that, we have defined the complete path for that. So what we require is we need to copy file to the path. And I will say, what do you mean by copy file to the path? So basically what I mean is the file which we receive from, whether from the server you pass it, from the client side, basically you pass it out from Postman, whatever, whether your client is Postman, React, Angular, from whichever you are uploading a file, right? The file does not go the way as you upload. It is converted into a stream of bytes. So it goes like that. So first we are defining a path where it will be something like this. Okay, our images directory will be there, and in that images directory, suppose you have your file name is myfile.txt. Okay, so this will be created. This will be already existing. Okay, if it is so inside this folder, this file will be there and it will be empty. Now you have to copy the content from the actual file. So the file which you have got, you have to actually copy the content. So I can say copy file content. So how you copy? You use the files java.nio.file. Okay, so files.copy, you will pass file.get input stream. So as I said, we get as a stream of bytes. So this will get the content and we will pass the paths. So it takes something like paths.get, and we will pass the actual file path. So this is how we actually pass the file. So if you check this paths, this get method converts a path string or a sequence of strings that when joined to form a path string. Okay, so basically it will set up the path that you are defining here using the folder and the file name, and using file.input get input stream, because the file from the client to server comes in the form of stream of bytes. So we will have the input stream because for us it is the input, right? And what we will return? We will return simply the file name. So we will return the file name. Okay, that's whole point that we are going to. Now next is to get the actual resource file. Okay, so now we want to get the resource file. Now what we know that our file exists on this path, right? This images / myfile.txt. This is our actual file path where our file is existing. We want to get this file. So first we need to construct the path to that file. So we will say string full path equal to path plus file.separator plus file name. Okay, so first we construct the full path, and then simply we require an input stream. Okay, so we will say file input stream, and we will pass the path. So what it does is, first we are defining the path where our file is, using the server path which is given by the service layer from book service implementation. Okay, and we have constructed the full path, and then what we have done is, this is the file input stream. Okay, so it says it creates a file input stream by opening a connection to an actual file, the file named by the path name in the file system. Okay, so when we pass the path to this file input stream, it goes to this path of the file, which is basically this. It will go to myfile.txt, and it will copy all the content from that file, and it will send you as an input stream. So you have to, so there is a conversion in between which happens. Okay, so when we will be developing the React side of the project, you will understand it more better how we extract those, how we deal with this. Okay, so this is how we have defined it. Now service layer we have done, but how do we know that whether this is correct or not? So for that we will define a controller to test out. Okay, so we will say file controller at rest controller, and we will define a request mapping, a base URL base endpoint. So let's say API slash v1 slash file. Okay, now here we will say private final file service, and we will use constructor injection. First thing will be post mapping for upload of the file. So I'll say upload. Okay, so we will say public response entity of type string upload file, and we'll say request part, and it will be multi-part file. It will throw exception because the method that we will use also throws exception. Now we will say file service dot, we will call this upload file method, and here we have to pass two things. First we have to pass the path, and we have to pass the file. Now from where we will get the path for now? So we need the access to this thing, right? This value. So how do we get access? We say private string path, and to get the access from application.yml, we'll say value, and in the curly brackets we write project dot images. Is it correct? Project dot images. Okay, perfect. So this is how we are getting the actual path from that file. Okay, so we just need this thing, okay, this value. So to define that, what is the name of the folder in which you want to keep the files? Okay, it will automatically construct the path for you, and then you will get the uploaded file name, correct? And then you simply have to return response entity of file uploaded is uploaded file. Perfect. So this is the endpoint we have defined for the uploading of the file. Now to get the uploaded file, we'll say get mapping, and then we have to pass here two things actually. First we will pass value, which is nothing but the actual name of the file. So we will pass file name, and secondly you have to define what it produces. Okay, so it can be various things that's why the file can be of different type. Okay, so since we are using images here, we will be using PNG images. Okay, so we will say image. You can see here we have JPEG image, GIF, PNG, so any kind of image type you can use. Okay, so we will be using PNG for now, and we will define another endpoint of type void get resource at path variable string file name, and we will require a HTTP servlet response. Okay, these things mostly I've covered in my backend course. So what is the purpose of it? I'll explain each and everything. Okay, now we have to get the file. Now what does the file response, or what does the file service gives us? So file service says file service dot, if we say get resource, it requires a path, so we will pass the path. It requires a file name, so we will pass the file. Now in return, what it is giving us? It is giving us a input stream. Now do we want this input stream to be passed to the client? No, this input stream is good for the server. On the server side it is good, okay, but for the client side it actually needs a file, so we need to convert that. So what we will say that to that response dot set content type. Now we have to define what kind of response, the content type of the response basically. So we will say media type dot image PNG value. This is the response content type, and then we will simply say string utils dot copy resource file, and then response dot get output stream. Okay, so we are using a function class which will copy all the content from the resource file as a output stream. Okay, all the content to it, and this will make the file in the PNG format. Okay, this will display to the user as a PNG file. And since we also need to copy the content, so we are defining that this is our resource file, this is our file where you have to put all to provide us an output stream. Okay, so this is how we are going to extract the file. Now let's run our server and test this. Okay, so our things have started. And if you see here, the table is also created, but we currently are not concerned about this table. We are concerned whether our file service is running fine or not. So we will open our Postman. So let's open our Postman. Okay. So we will use HTTP localhost 8080/API/v1/file/upload. Okay. So this is how we are doing it. So if you see here, API/v1/file/upload, and this is a post mapping. So it is a post request we are doing. Now, what kind of body we are sending? So it is a kind of form data where we have to send in a key value pair. So we have to send a file. So key will be file. Here you can select text or file. Okay, so select file and no need for type. Okay, so here you have to select file and then you have to select files. So let me select a file. Okay, so I've selected a file named c2.png. Okay, now if I upload it, what you will see is a new folder getting created here, images which we have defined in the configuration, and the file with the same name, okay, c2.png is getting uploaded there. So if I have this, we are getting the file name c200/okay, file uploaded is c2.png. Now if we go here, we see that images folder is there and c2.png is there. If we double click on it, we are getting the image. Now if we want to download the image, so we have to pass / and the file name. Okay, so let's go to the Postman and let's create another request. This time I'll just copy paste the request and pass the file name, which is c2.png. It is a get request. If I click and it requires anything, yeah, it requires a path variable file name. So we have already passed the file name. Okay, perfect. Now if we send, so see, we are getting a file. If you do the same over here, you'll see that we are getting the file as a display, right? So you can display the file right like this, right? So this is the way how we are going to implement the files. Okay, we are going to handle the file. So we have defined the file service implementations for uploading and getting the resource file, and we have checked using the controller that everything works perfectly, right? So once again, let me give you a summary of what we have done. So in the upload file, we have passed the path and we are getting the file. Now we are getting the name of the file using the get original name, and then we are setting up the file path. Okay, then we are using this whole code. We are trying to generate we are trying to create a directory if it does not exist. So what will be the name of the directory? We have already defined here. It is the name images. You can name it anything, whatever you want. Even you can name this property whatever you want. Okay, this is a custom property. After that, what we are doing is we are saying files.copy, copy the file path. Okay, so we are getting the file content to in the form of the stream of bytes, and we are copying it. Where we are copying it? We are copying on the path that we have constructed. This is the path we have constructed. So example, images c2.png was constructed first, and then the content which was received in the form of the input stream, we copied using this into this empty file. Okay, so first empty file is constructed first on this in the images directory, and then the content of that file is copied to that empty file. So remember this. To get the file, we need the path to that particular file, and once we get the path, on that path we need the file name. So we are providing the path and we are providing the name. So using this, we have constructed the complete path, full path, and by passing the full path to the file input stream, we have got the input stream, or we have got the stream of file. Now in controller, what we have done is we have defined the actual path where we want to do it. Okay, so here we are defining the path on our actual project server only locally. So we have done this way. If it would have been the cloud, then there would be another way or API provided by AWS or Azure or maybe other storage services. So we have to do that way. Okay, sometime later we will try to discuss those things also, but for now we are taking the route of file handling using our local directories. Okay, now what we are doing is we are simply accepting a multi-part file and uploading it. And when we want to fetch the content, so what we are doing is we are calling the resource file. So we are getting an input stream, but we don't need, but on the client side we can't display the input stream because it is in non-readable format for the user. So to convert that to the readable format, we are defining the content type that convert that we want a PNG file, and we are copying the content to this resource file. Basically, we are copying to the response. So that's why output stream. We are showing the output. Okay, we are getting the input and we want to show the output. So we are using the output stream. So that's how we have defined and handled the file service things. Now, how to use this while while we save the content of the book? Because if you see here, we require this book cover. Now this book cover is basically an image, right? So how we will do that along with so many fields, this we will discuss in the next video. So hopefully you have understood about these things. Go once and twice again, repeat on repeat in this video to understand it more clearly. And I hope you have got an idea of how we can upload the file and get the content of the file, right? So in the next one, we will be implementing the book service interface. So we have defined these 5 methods. So we will start to implement these things one by one. Okay. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Save this playlist if you want to learn about the full stack React project development. And we have just started the series, so you can get started with it. Hope you find the content very interesting. So stay tuned for more such interesting content. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your feedback in the comments. So I will see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.